Hello Pisces, and welcome to your in-depth monthly horoscope for March 2023. This is for the Sun or the Ascendant. I'm going to give you some brief but key details, but I will then enlarge on those, so please stay with me for that. If you are a returning viewer, thank you so much for joining me once more. If you're new to my channel, it's great to have you with me. Please comment. I interact with all comments. This is very much a community. But also please like and subscribe. Now, of course, this is the month when Saturn arrives in your sign for the first time in 27 years. And that occurs on the 7th. On the same day, you also have a full moon in your opposite sign of Virgo. But they are lit up by the electric energies of Uranus in a potentially positive way. So I need to tell you about that. Also, there's the potential for some real serendipity at the start and the end of this month, which could delight you. We all know that there has been a collective increase in costs across fuel, power, food, distribution, and obviously that's been a challenge for many of us, but there is an opportunity for you to pick your way through and actually seize a prize. In fact, there are about 4 opportunities this month that I need to tell you about, but you may be feeling a little bit daunted about the arrival of Saturn. Let's see if we can explore that. And also Pluto is going to be pitching up in the sign that Saturn is vacating on the 23rd into Aquarius, but it's only for 11 weeks. But if you would like to understand how your personal astrology is impacting on every day of your life, if you give me 3 pieces of personal birth data, of time, date and place of birth, I can produce your life roadmap report, which will help you to get a much more intimate understanding of those patterns, sometimes the challenging ones that keep coming up, but also helping you to seize opportunities more firmly. In my special package of 30% off, you can also get your 12-month forecast, again totally unique and personal to you. Please see the link beneath this video for more on that. So welcome Pisces to your March forecast. The month begins with the Sun and your co-ruler Neptune in your sign, but your traditional ruler Jupiter is in a glorious combination with Venus. The particular relevance of this is that Venus is of course the planet that governs relating through its rulership of Libra, but it's also the planet of money through its rulership of Taurus. And for you, Venus and Jupiter in the sign of Aries is house 2, so very Tauran. So whether you decide to enjoy a really lovely meal or some calorific goodies at the start of this month, I think a diet plan could be really tested by that combination, but there's also some serendipity that could just come into your situation. Exact on the 2nd, but still relevant to the 6th. But also Mercury in your 12th house is side by side with Saturn. Saturn has probably created a need for seclusion, withdrawal, some quiet moments over the last 2.5 years. As it prepares to come into your sign, you may actually realize that you've learnt an enormous amount with Saturn's assistance, even if it hasn't felt very easy. Of course, collectively, many of us were needing to stay closer to home because of the particular directives that we were given in terms of COVID. But that seems to have really fitted in with what was going on planetary-wise for you. At the least, I think Saturn's been asking you to gauge your involvements with others on the basis of how much you trust people, how much you feel that they are sincere and profound. But this combination with Mercury at the start of the month, I do feel can help you to see into a situation with great clarity and wisdom, because that's what Saturn brings. And that part of it is often underestimated in favour of the promotion of its more restrictive and limiting agenda. But on the 2nd, Mercury moves into your sign. So this is terrific. If you have been thinking about something very deeply, or doing some research, or just taking soundings, you move into the present more, which is an exciting transition. Mercury will see the speed of things picking up. But in week 2, Venus moves forwards and links with Mars. Mars has been seeing you thinking a lot about where you live, how you live there. There may have been a renovation project, whether it's decoratively or construction wise, or perhaps you have been just doing a lot of research around different housing opportunities or availabilities. But I feel that this link between Venus and Mars can give you greater traction to whatever it is you're trying to achieve. But of course they are the planets of romance, and in the 2nd and 4th houses, if someone offers to cook you a really fine meal or take you to a lovely restaurant, I think this could be a great way to get to know one another that much better. But the full moon on the 7th coincides with Saturn's arrival in your sign. But this full moon, as I mentioned in my intro, is arcing into the electric vibe of Uranus. So there could be quite a lot of intense discussions over the following 2 weeks. But the full moon in Virgo is your relationship sector, and it could be that someone you're close to feels that you've been far too caught up in what's important to you rather than being aware of what's important to them. Now, all relationships are based on finding the tipping point in the middle between our own individual needs and where we want to collaborate and cooperate. And if something has been out of kilter, you may find that someone's going to tell you in an extremely direct way, and you may think, blimey Patrick, is this what Saturn is? Someone's just absolutely getting right to the nub of a matter. Well, that's what Uranus does. It's like paint stripper. It's the planet of truth. And in the 3rd house, it's not going to think too quickly, or too slowly, about asserting its opinion. So Saturn arrives, and you may have some trepidation about this, but I honestly don't believe that Saturn in your own sign will necessarily be as challenging as Saturn in the 12th house. It does depend how many planets along with the Sun you may have in Pisces. If you've got more than just the Sun, then its impact will be greater. But the 12th house transition you've been through has been very testing. What essentially Saturn's asking you to do is to decide what's really essential to you as an individual. Think of the 1st house as being the body. It's very much the ascendant, so very Mars energy. So yes, your energy could be more restricted. So what you've got to do is narrow down the scope of your activities so you're not being scattered or distracted from what's really essential. Saturn is about self-discipline. It's about going through processes in an efficient and well-organized way. And it's a step-by-step thing. We can't rush things. Now, because yours is a very in some ways whimsical zodiac sign, it may be that Saturn can feel quite crushing to begin with, but you can get used to working with it, and rather than seeing it diminishing your energies, it can help you to marshal what's really important to you. So get less caught up in peripheral matters and more in the solid core of what you really are excited about. So see it as an opportunity for sure. But on the 15th, Mars emerges from its shadow, which the retrograde ended on the 12th of January, but this has been a very extended influence. Every 2.5 years when Mars goes retrograde, it's a big event for us all. So there could be a movement towards something that's important to you, but because Mars is challenged by Neptune again for the following 2 weeks, 2 and 3 of this month, just like it was in October, November and the first week of December, this can drain you of vitality, drain you of drive, and you may think it's Saturn, but Neptune is such an underestimated influence because it's a very diluting water energy. Mars is fire, thrust. Also, if we think that Neptune is very sensitive, but it can be almost opaque. So if your plans and clarity are not that great, then things can just sort of almost fizzle out. Evaporate is probably the best word. So you will be tested almost straight away by that. But on the 16th, Venus moves into Taurus. It loves being here. It rules this sign. It also forges an immediately great link to Saturn. So someone could hear your view on something, and the chances are you can organise it in a very constructive way, put your point across, whether it's a business case, a plan, or even if you're trying to get to know somebody, the chances are that you're going to be seen as being very real with that combination. The problem is that Venus at this point in the month squares with the late located Pluto in Capricorn, and then obviously with the early located position of Pluto in Aquarius from the 23rd. So just be aware that your words need to be really, really sincere. Venus's rulership of Libra can see it be a bit synthetic and superficial. So that's the key to getting through that little bit of a tight patch at the heart of the month, but you can come it through it with flying colours as long as you say what you mean and mean what you say. But then on the 19th, Mercury transitions from your sign into Aries, and this is helping you to think more about finance. The spring equinox on the 20th ushers in the sun into the sign of Aries from your sign, but some of the things you've been working on constructively can already show early signs of promise. But the new moon on the 21st is going to give more energy and more scope to make advancements, but it is squaring with Mars late in Gemini. On the 23rd, Pluto moves into your 12th house. I think you're going to feel this most of all if your sun is right at the end of Pisces, so the last 3 or 4 days of Pisces. You're much more likely to feel a challenge from Pluto. If your sun is much more at the beginning of Pisces, this can actually be very helpful to you, this semi-sextile, but of course you've got Saturn to contend with. But on the 25th, Mars moves into Cancer. Good for you, because the next 6 weeks can see you showcase your charisma and personality in a very energized and purposeful way. But it is in a quincunx with Pluto, 5v12. Whatever you get into and wherever you take risks, make sure that you've really thought through what the implications could be if it doesn't work out as you hope. But then in the last week, Mercury moves forwards and forges a glorious alliance with Jupiter. So at the start of the month, it's Venus and Jupiter. At the end of the month, it's Mercury and Jupiter. This is very good for deals, contracts, expressing your ideas in an earthy way, but seeing tangible rewards. So I feel if you really put your shoulder to the wheel, you can welcome in Saturn in a very constructive way this month and go with it. And anything you have been doing around the property matter can start to shape up in a way which gives you satisfaction. I just feel that your energy may be tempered by Neptune square to Mars. But the spring equinox certainly gives you a lot of encouragement to be the alchemist, turn your ideas, your hard work into something more solid and tangible. It's been a pleasure being with you, Pisces. Please like, comment or subscribe.